happy anniversary to the greatest, most powerful, most prosperous teen-run Christian media tech blog company in the great state of Texas. That's some great news coming out of Texas. It is our 5-year anniversary here at the Tech Boy Media, and we have done so much. I mean, I have so much planned. I have a special thing I cannot tell you about right now. I'm planning, but a special article will be coming out soon about this momentous event. I already have a script written up for our like 5-year, behind the scenes in important things that have happened in the Tech Boy today, and I'm going to share a little bit of that. I'm going to share a little. I'm going to share a little bit of that today. I'm going to go to my top 5 most controversies that has happened over my 5-year career as a tech slash Christian slash whatever the heck this is, podcaster, cultural commentator, and article writer. And of course, we're going to go for like some of the favorite devices that we had to talk about on this website as well. But we do have some bad news coming out of the great state of Texas as well. Governor Greg Abbott was essentially forced in a bipartisan bill that passed like 126 or something, some super high number to 10. Um, which will essentially ban cell phones in schools for now. Congratulations, Matt Walsh and all the people who couldn't figure out any solutions except for ban, 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 ban. So unfortunately, cell phones are banned in schools. There is some type of loophole that I told the districts to ensue. I think each district can kind of like choose something if they say it's like for instructional use. Like I'm obviously here for the compromise, right? I'm here for the compromise. You should just ban them during instructional time. You get caught with the cell phone during instructional time, you go straight to detention, no passes. But you used to be able to use them in the hall, you used to be able to use them in lunch as well. And this also links into another story coming out of Virginia where under 16-year-olds are now banned from using social media for more than an hour. And first of all, we went through this before. How are they supposed to enforce that bill? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And for the Texas bill, I mean, it banned everything from a cybercode to a walkie-talkie to heck, even a PDA with Wi-Fi. Okay, they banned all communication devices as well. And this kind of bodes America going into a sign of nope. Honestly, I don't have time for this with Gabe. Okay, I really don't. And Starload says so. All right, anyway, this really turns America into some sort of a like communist dictatorship. Because here we are trying to come up with solutions, and it's just ban, 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 ban. That's the only thing that these people can figure out. I mean, these people banning essentially cybercodes from 2001. They're banning walkie-talkies from 1945, and they're banning smartphones from 2007. All these people are running around saying, "Oh, guys, well, I didn't have a smartphone growing up in school. I didn't have a smartphone. I didn't have this." They wanted one back then. All right. So actually, I'm going to talk about the Virginia bill first, and then I'm going to talk about the Texas bill. So Virginia, let's try to make this analogous to something in the 1950s. Let's imagine there's this bill in the 1950s that said teenagers under the age of 16 cannot use the landline phone for more than an hour, or what? SEAL Team 6 will kick down the door. Or let's make this an Instagram analogy. Let's say there was a bill that said teenagers under the age of 16 are not allowed to use and look through their mom's photo albums for more than an hour. We're going to kick down the door. Or teenagers are not allowed to go over to each other's friends' houses. Or we're going to kick down the door. Look, this is how teens connect. This is how teens communicate. And okay, but we're just doing full Hail Marys in here. Okay. Anyway, this is how teens connect. This is how teens communicate. This is how this chat is so distracting. Bo's in here doing like a dang Hail Mary while I'm over here talking about Virginia law. Anyway, this is how teens connect. This is how teens communicate nowadays. And look, I mean, it makes zero sense. It's not illegal. It's not wrong. Now, is it bad to spend 10 hours a day scrolling TikTok or Instagram Reels? Sure. But is it illegal? Is it going to hurt anyone? No. Look, the United States government should not be banning people. If they want to buy and eat 10 hot dogs, look, that's not good for them. They shouldn't pass on those health insurance costs to us. But look, if they want to buy and eat 10 hot dogs, you should have the right as an American to buy and eat 10 hot dogs. Christy Lamont is, why? What is even going on in this chat? Seriously, what in the heck? Gabe says, I never had a phone growing up. That's fine. Your parents can say you don't want to have a phone. It's up to the parents. It's be up to the parents to allow the kids to have phones. It's up to the parents to allow the kids to have social media. But it should not be up to some random governor in Virginia who decided that, he doesn't want 16-year-olds to have Instagram or whatever. And then it literally makes no sense. I mean, Instagram is analogous to a phone, and it's also analogous to what do they call them? Photo albums. It's analogous to your little instant camera that came out in the 1970s that everyone was using back then. And look, they all turned out fine. And for school, it's also banned, in the Texas law, it bans all personal communication devices, which essentially turns this back to communist dictatorships because, for the kids who have, I don't know, laptops that have more than a gig of RAM and are running an actual operating system, they're going to have to use these trash Chromebooks that you can literally find on the side of the road for $50 in someone's dumpster because they're absolutely disgusting. We are not a communist dictatorship, and we are not a monarchy. Okay, Gabe, little monarchist Catholic monarchy Simpson in chat here today. Look, guys, go move to Poland. Starter said I grew knocking trees out. Guys. I have also cut down trees. I've also moved trees. I actually got paid a few weeks ago for moving someone's trees into the limbs. And guys, guess what? I also have Instagram and X. I also have a phone. So guys, trees still exist. The outdoors still exist. You know who's the onus is on that? It is not the governor of Virginia, what's his name? Youngkin's onus. It is not what's his name? Abbott's job to get kids, out and about and moving the trees, and in Abbott's case, as far away from trees as possible. But it is on the onus of the parents and the kids themselves. Look, if I was out there and only had an interest in trees, would I be sitting here in a podcast right now celebrating 5-year anniversary of this company? No. I'd say this company has done and will be doing much more immeasurable good for the world at hand. I mean, let's say I had not been here online writing articles and sharing my opinions, then guys, you people would not have, a new target to dunk on, talking about, MI6 or whatever. And here we have again, Base, Glenn Youngkin, Threads and Instagram aren't good apps. So that doesn't mean you should ban them. I mean, heck, United States actually paused trade negotiations with the quote unquote country of Canada, because they tried to, impose tariffs or some type of tax on great American apps made by Meta. Now, you may say that they're trash applications, but look, they are our trash applications, and we are going to respect our trash applications and make sure that we don't have stupid competitor applications coming out from, I don't know, Canada or China. Now, look, the only application that I'm kind of in favor of banning or whatever, of course, I was against this 2 years ago. I'm still kind of against it. Now, we'll be banning TikTok because when TikTok was down for that horrible 12-hour period in teenage life in like January, 19th or something, everyone then went over to, guys, guess what? The horrible trash and even more Chinese spyware-infested application of RedNote. And then the teenagers of America literally started speaking Mandarin Chinese. And I think some dogs were getting cooked on there as well. So that was a whole thing. But look, there was this Adventure Odyssey episode in the 1990s where this kid is talking about who's like addicted to television or whatever. And you guys, guess what? There was no law. Bill Clinton wasn't running around trying to sign some law that would ban teenagers from watching more than an hour of television. Okay, and unfortunately, Instagram Reels and TikToks are the new is the new television, which is why Disney hasn't made a decent teen sitcom since Teddy. Since Teddy, which we need to talk a lot about Teddy and no, actually no, they made one too. What's it called? Casey Undercover that came out after Teddy. We got to talk about Casey Undercover anyway. And there was this Adventure Odyssey episode where they're talking about this kid who was addicted to like television or something, and he was in this world where televisions became illegal, and then he tried to watch television, and then he ran over to the state lines or whatever just so that he watched television, but he didn't make it. We should annex Canada at this point. I mean, look, guys, we can annex Canada if and only if we cut out this moronic, idiotic junk of trying to ban applications that you don't like your teenagers using, other than, illicit material applications. Christy Lamont says no. And, chat, let's have a vote. Gabe, you too. I know you're against voting and stuff like that. Anyway, in this episode, it's presented as like the rule where the state, it was banned televisions was good, which is kind of weird because, this was like 1 to 2, maybe even during the fall of the USSR, which is, kind of really weird to say that we should ban television. Look, we are the United States of America. We're not going to ban, Instagram. We're not going to ban Snapchat, the greatest application on the face of the earth. And we're not going to ban, I don't know, YouTube because Glenn Youngkin. It feels bad that some teen girl is watching YouTube instead of C-SPAN or whatever. So unfortunately, it's a sad day for Teen Pack. They did get their wins with Matt Walsh, but they have also suffered some losses as well. Teen Pack is not perfect. Teen Pack is not. Team Pack is not them. Now, speaking of Disney, speaking of all the Disney teen sitcoms, Gabe, he was in here, yapping about MI6. Gabe, he still believes that the allegations are true, which is, utterly ridiculous and patently unfalse. But, he said that one of his favorite television shows was Liv and Maddie, which is, really, really funny, seeing as Liv and Maddie is about two blonde twin girls. So, that's just, you are projecting yourself onto me. But this got me to thinking. There are far too many Maddies on Earth. I'm sorry. We just need to ban the name for like 5 years. Please. There are way too many Maddies, and they all spell the name differently. We got Liv and Maddie. We got Maddie from Sweet Life. We got Maddie from all these other Disney shows, and they all got to spell their names differently. M-A-D-D-Y, M-A-D-D-I-E, M-A-D-D, M-A-D-I, M-A-D-I-E-Y. M-A-D. We used to ban Disney. Here we go again. This is just Canada. They can't make stuff. They just want to ban, the great company of Disney. But I mean, honestly, we need to go mad on Maddie. Mutually assured destruction. There are too many Maddies. I'm sorry. Find new names. Or at least find one spelling. Okay, guys, have a vote. Okay, you can spell it M-A-D-D-Y, M-A-D-D-I-E, M-A-D-Y, M-A-D-I, M-A-D-I, M-A-D-D-I. Those are your 5 choices. You guys go vote on that. You get one spelling. You don't need 20 different names for spelling. Disney grooms kids, though. Okay, I'm not going to respond to that. Yes, Disney does do bad things. They also do some good things as well. Just, again, watch the decent shows. Now, I will say that there are way too many television shows where they put in, inappropriate content. Like that doesn't need to be there. Adds nothing, literally nothing to the plot. And then it gets banned, and I can't watch it anymore. Stupid. I mean, such great shows. I think Netflix has that more. I mean, Netflix had No Good Nick and That Family Show, both which had, inappropriate characters in that show as well. The Disney shows that I've seen pre 2018, actually, that's when Casey Undercover ended, have actually been pretty fine. You got Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, you got Ant Farm, Hell Lexi and Hell Paisley, and of course you got that other show with Teddy in it. I forgot. Oh yeah, Good Luck Charlie. Which, honestly, that show's just an excuse to have a show of a bunch of family kids in it. Oh, speaking of, we're actually going to go over the show that I was trying to think about writing if I, had money and a camera that didn't blow out the lights. But anyway, speaking of the name Maddie and, all these Disney shows as well, I was talking to some people. And here's an accomplishment here is I think we're turning back towards a multipolar world. So like I was telling Gabe in chat yesterday, who was yapping about how alleged crushes on MI6 or whatever. But I said, no, look, MI6 is the global hegemon. She's she's like the United States of work, right? To give a geopolitical example there, right? Which is why it's imperative that we don't get nuked, which we didn't. Anyway, which is why it's imperative that we don't get nuked. Anyway, but I was able to kind of claw back some power and have my own little press conference or whatever. That's irrelevant. But when I was having my press conference, we were talking about, television shows. And, actually, I'm going to give a praise report here. The people I've having the press conference with were actually the most pro 9th grade generation that I have ever seen in my life. Finally, someone actually understands the importance and key benefits of 9th grade, which is one, of course, the huge underserved voting block that everyone just bullies and ignores. And look, if you acknowledge that 9th grade is important and key, then you'll acknowledge that you have a whole swath, maybe 25% of people that you can win and you can swing that election. Make sure that you use the software that I developed to see if you even have a shot there. That is how Vice President Geneva was able to become President of Geneva and beat former President Allison, who then became Vice President Allison, right? And they're super pro ninth grade. I mean, in 2022, when I was in 11th grade, and friends with all the ninth graders, because ninth graders weren't yapping about evolution every 2 seconds, and because my reputation hadn't trickled down yet. Um, that's why it's pro ninth grade, and of course in 12th grade, pro ninth grade again. Most pro ninth grade, I guess, political candidate there worked really well with ninth grade until that time in April when they tried to invade GCAM. SSA had to reinvade and whatever. But anyway, they acknowledge how important ninth grade is, and I think this might be because they have experienced ninth grade for themselves. So that is really good. Seeing more people acknowledge the key context of ninth grade and acknowledge that they're super important. Not bully them as well. However, this generation, while they could have a military full of ninth grade students, unfortunately, they are a little less ambitious as well. We were talking about the television show Casey Undercover, and they were talking about how they would want Casey to personally beat them up. Wait, I guess that's good for me because one, I could, I win because you have no ambition. Like it's your one goal in life to get beat up by some random 16-year-old. Fine, but that is kind of bad. As a whole, if that's your goal, but I personally couldn't never admit to that I would want. No, no. What does chat think? Do you guys want to get beat up by Casey? So pro ninth grade, that's good. Want to get beat up? That's I'm gonna say it's a bit problematic as well. Now, speaking of problematic, if we get into our headlines and the top AIs, the top 5 AI video reactions. Oh, I've got to get my headphones here so that the speakers don't do things. So we're going to go through the top 5 scandals the Tech Boy has been involved in for the 5 years of podcasting, YouTube, and website writing here. So we're going to let's talk about number 1. Bikini/modesty gate. I think that might have been my first ever major gate. As you guys remember, in 2023, late 2023, the calendar with the beer calendar thing came out with like Riley Gaines and all these other influencers, and my gosh, did NTB go crazy? NTB was off. They were freaking out over on NTB, and to a lesser extent, I wasn't really on it, but on X as well. I mean, they were crying. I mean, they were like, oh my goodness, this is immodest, this is terrible, this is anti-Christian. They were melting down. It was so funny, and I was like, at that point, I was just like, okay, I'm neutral, right? I'm just gonna be like, okay, guys, calm down, but whatever. But as you guys know, the core motto of the Tech Boy is controversy drives clicks. So guys, guess what we wrote an article about? We wrote an article about Samsung calendar, and we just used the hashtag calendar gate, and we actually got 400 hits on that article as well. So calendar gate was so great for me personally, not because I bought the overpriced calendar, but because I got to see all these people melting down. I mean, man, it was hilarious, honestly. And I also got to have super high view count over on my website, and of course this has then persisted in August 2024 or like summer 2024. I then defended Isabella Maria DeLuca for her photos that she posted over on X. Once again, people had started melting down again. I formally chose a side. Man, people were melting down over absolutely nothing. I mean, it was crazy. They were crying, and I get that article published in American Daily Press as well. And this still persists to this day. I guess that is the number 1 gate that I have had, which is, of course, to use the quote, defending the friends I have that do not know I exist. So yeah. So the modesty wars, quote unquote. I have taken the stance of the famous 90s devotional that essentially says blah blah blah, something something something, Bible verse, blah blah blah. It's a state of mind, not exactly what you wear, blah blah blah, something something something. All right, that is the most ongoing, I guess, prevalent scandal here as well. I mean, I've debated Christian Mono just like 3 times. Something like that as well. Speaking of Kristen Lemon, yes, the Kristen Lemon crush rumor gate thing that she kind of leaned into, and then, well, then conquer we must, and our cause was just, and she got nuked into the ground. I'm pleased to report to say the great Christy Demond war of one day. When she blocked me and got mad something because I quote unquote allegedly rigged the poll, which of course I do not confess to. And then she blocked me and got mad and something or whatever, and then I just B2 bombed it back to start. I mean, I was prepared to go on to that war for like days, and well, all I had to do was like concede a stolen post or something. It's just like it's just never surrender and never give up. It was the greatest scandal of all time. Like, okay, so she, how she was like promoting like some stupid poll of crush rumors or whatever that I had one on her or whatever, which I obviously did not. And I only lost 2 followers off of that entire crash out, which brought it to the negotiating table in one day. So yeah, W there as well. I only lost 2 followers, only got blocked by one. So and I was prepared to use every ounce of political capital that I had online to use to take it down, to get it taken down. Look, we accomplished our strategic objectives. I mean, sure, I was blocked, and sure, for like a day, and sure, I lost like 2 followers or whatever. But look, we accomplished the objectives. We got the polls taken down. We got now Christine Mon is even essentially every time those rumors get brought up goes against them, and now boom, we win. We B2 bombed to straight to the thing. I have never admitted to rigging a poll. I have never admitted to rigging a poll. Okay, I have never admitted to rigging a poll. Yes, I do talk fast as well. And look, and now she actually admitted in a post to someone else who was talking about how I'm quote unquote obsessed with her, that we're friends. So greatest, and even yes, there's this person who was like bullying me, so I didn't drug her into this, so then she would start a war with me, but then she'd actually come defend me. So greatest win of all time, absolute nuke. I mean, absolutely, absolute nuke. I mean, this post that was going on around. I actually did this like last week. This guy yesterday, 2 days ago. This guy was talking about how I pray to my butthole or whatever. I drug someone else into it. I got him to tell him to shut up, and I just used 2 word responses, and then he ended the war. So another scandal, but I mean that scandal only lasted a day, really wasn't important. But the Christian Amon war, absolute domination. I'm gonna say absolute domination. It's just how SSA bug GCam and just like nothing happened. Nothing ever happens. We will always fight. We will always win. All right, we're going to go into this next gate thing. It kind of links into bikini/modesty gate, which Gabe has actually kind of contributed to this gate as well, which is that I'm apparently a gay Jew. So that also comes in whenever someone wants to say something about me. They just that's whatever they go into, which once again, look, I get called a whole bunch of mean things online all the time, and look, I'm fine. So for all the people who are scared about cyberbullying or whatever, life's tough. Get a helmet. Calm down. My gosh. Well, I got cyberbully. Cry. Please, cry me your liver. I do not care. Just delete the message. Anyway, back to the thing. Back to the point here. So one of the greatest things I've ever did is just put the Israel flag in my name. I have never actually had to argue with anyone ever in the history of X for like a whole year. Ever. I have not had to say that ever. Because all they do is I make a point. If they don't like it, they're like, okay, Jew. And then we just debate that. Okay? So, we never actually debate anything. They just insult me for having a flag in bio and accuse me of killing kids. I mean, it's great. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's great. We never actually have to debate anything. We can just go around in circles, and they can whine about that for 50 million times, and I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, whatever. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, that's probably one of the greatest foreign policy things that I've ever done. Okay, Candace. Oh, okay, whatever. She had one good quote. Okay, I mean, goodness. I mean, even a broken nut has a correct squirrel once a day. And Joe Biden calls you garbage. And look, you're fine. You're fine. All right, next. Blonde slash MI6 gate. I guess that's the another ongoing scandal as well. I don't have much to say about that. I mean, we talked about that at length. I mean, well, I've been acquitted 3 times. I mean, what else do you want? You want me to like put my hand on the Bible and swear on it? I mean, I've done that before in high school. I guess we could do it now if you guys want. So that's it. And of course, Maria Gate, which was of course the 2024 war between me and ninth grade. That lasted a week and a half, and then nothing happened. Once, as you guys know, ninth grade tried to invade G cams by sparking fake crush rumors between me and Maria, and then that was it. I mean, then we won the war. So apparently, most of these controversies are just me winning wars. I mean, whoa, we got Chrissy Gate, we got Maria Gate, we got Blonde Gate, we got, of course, Bikini Monster Gate. I guess it's still an ongoing gate because I do have a video coming about that soon. And then, of course, Jugate Gate, whatever. That's what I get called online all the time. Look, I'm still here. And, of course, the last gate that I will admit to, this is actually what is being proudly and patriotically, unapologetically American. Yes. Yes, supporting the greatest country on planet Earth is that is okay, fine. I admit it, guys. I admit it. And of course, the great state of Texas. So, that is the only gate I will admit to is loving America. All right, Tesla has delivered its first fully autonomous car to someone, of course, in the great state of Texas, in Austin. I think that's pretty interesting. And the car drove itself from the factory to the person's house. So they didn't even have to get it delivered. Of course, they had people around the car so that you could tape it and film it. There's actually a picture up online of this person taking pictures. Pretty historic achievement here to have a car drive by itself to the person. And Starlord says that he will be going to the great state of Texas, where they're going to have, Tesla robo taxis here, and that's why American innovation and ingenuity is so great. I'm not a huge fan of Tesla. I'm a fan of gas cars, which it's fine, but I mean I wish they had the Tesla software on gas cars. Gas cars that can drive themselves would be pretty neat because it'd be nice to have a self-driving car and be able to go places without having to actually drive them. I'm an okay driver, but I would much rather have a Tesla drive than me drive, in my opinion, there as well. Also, I can pass off the blame to someone else. So yeah, let's talk about nothing, and then we'll talk about. Oh man, I forgot the subject we're going to talk about. It's going to be super important too. Dang it. One thing that is important is, I'm trying to use the money that I've now made to buy some more interesting niche technology. So I know the Unihertz Titan phone with the keyboard, the Titan 2 Pocket 2, has come out. Now maybe I should buy that and, of course, then return it back. But what are some other mobile non-phone technology that you guys would like to see me review? Because I haven't had many reviews in a long time. I have not gotten anything sent to me in a long time. And no, I am not buying the Trump phone. I'm not paying $500 for that absolute piece of junk. Okay, I'm not buying that, people. All right. I'm trying to find this weird designed nothing phone. Oh yes, here it is, the Nothing Phone 3. I don't know who designed this. It's gonna be a bit blurry here on the YouTube thumbnail. Let's see. Gabe says you're gonna make carrot cake. Oh well, Gabe, you missed it. You getting absolutely slam dunked on. Sad, so sad. I guess you can watch this in replay. But I literally said that all the gates that you've tried to pull, everything that you've tried, I mean, except for the whole, being a patriotic, proud American, I mean, it's all fake news. It's all fake news. Anyway, here's the Nothing Phone 3. I mean, what in the why? Why does this exist? What is this? Have these people never seen a ruler, a compass, something straight? I mean, look at this. Why is there 2 cameras on the bottom with that weird gap in the middle? Do you have some off-kilter camera? I can actually see it better here on my phone screen down here. Yeah, that is a camera. that's just like off. I mean, it kind of looks like a triangle that's at 150 degrees. Who designed this thing? Also, I know this thumbnail is hard to see, but this phone is very it looks modular. Like it 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 has lines in it. It's like lines in tile. It's so weird. Um, and then you have a circle, I guess like voice light icon thing. What is that? That is so wacky. I mean, here's the Nothing Phone 3. Oh, here it is. Look, here's a more high resolution image. What are these lines, people? Why are there screws in the back of this phone? Like, I mean, it's fine on the front and stuff, but it's like, the grayscale software, but it's just what? I mean, this whole dang, circle for that tiny little flash. Let me close that. I mean, it's just insane. Let's see what it has here. Tech child, tell me why my battery dies so fast. Well, child, it's because you watch too many Michael Knowles videos. If you watched Shapiro videos, he would talk faster. You'd be done quicker. So that's why Shapiro's the best DW host. But what is this phone? But I mean, let's look into the specs here as well. Also, really interesting. The 3A came out before the 3. The glyph lights are gone, but you do have that weird heart rate sensor thing on the back. I wish it was an actual heart rate sensor. Samsung should bring back the heart rate sensor. Not enough. Not enough. Not enough what? Anyway, Samsung should bring back the heart rate sensor. That'd be great. That'd be great. And we'll have a 50 megapixel telephoto camera, so this might be a true flagship as well. Speaking of true flagships, I heard that Android's gonna get a better desktop mode, so that's good. And now let's get back to the TechBoy.org headlines. Headline: the Morena Fairphone. It's one of those European. Why do all the European tech companies have to be so annoying? Like just. Whatever. It's one of those. That kind of looks a lot like iOS. Not gonna lie. Anyway, one of those European open source operating systems has collaborated. EOS has collaborated with the Fairphone, which is a phone that's supposed to last a really long time and built from recyclable materials. The phone itself sucks, but at least you're saving the environment. Whatever. It has launched and it can run EOS on it as well. It's on version 3. There is something interesting in here. It has SMS-based Find My Device, which is, that's great. Like I've said multiple times, I want to see more than just things that rely on the internet. The phone system itself relies on the internet for some reason. Mostly nowadays. If you want a copper phone, it's not really going to work out as well. So you can't really dial in to computer systems, like you could back in the day. Of course, satellite chat, satellite video messaging and stuff like that has really died. Cable is dying as well. So, we're all kind of transitioning everything to the internet. And what if there's an outage? What if it went down? That could be a bad thing, especially if, we have China, Russia, Iran, maybe trying to, take it out or take it down the greatest American invention. Which would be a lot more realistic than someone trying to nuke Houston. So yeah. All right, speaking of war dialing, war gaming, stuff like that, I'm actually going to show you this thing on Shodan. This is actually a pretty high-tech thing here. Hope you guys can see this on the screen. Let me see if I can pull it up. So this is a thing called Shodan Maps. I paid my $49 fee so I can access Shodan. And what you can see here is a map of the United States of America. And look, this gets Canada too, Christy. And you can type in city. So let's do. You try not to read things off the internet. You try to read as many books as possible. That's good. Actually, I have to. Let's see. Anyway, stop screen sharing. There we go. You can type in your city. Stupid autofill. You can type in your city.Houston, and then you type in your OS. You guys will get to see this. Windows. and it will show you all the things connected to the internet in that city on a map here on the screen. You can see the IP addresses as well too. So in the city of Houston, you can see that there's all these computers connected via all these ports, RDP, US. I don't know why it's giving me stuff in Canada. Is there Houston, Canada? I don't see it on the screen there, but you can zoom in. You can see all the computers here in the great city of Houston. You click on here. You can see the ports that are open here, and you can see what the operating system is. You can see the ports that you can access. That's port 80, which you could access via the web if you wanted to see that. Yeah, so these are all the publicly accessible computers in the city of Houston. And if you want to get a bit more niche than that, you can do Windows, I guess, XP. And you can search on the screen, and it should pop up. Oh, there it is. There's your red dot there. That's Windows XP. And this is a computer running Windows XP here, and you can read more about it if you like. All right. What another thing that you can do, and I can show you another command, is you can actually pick some coordinates. I'm going to pick coordinates of, I guess, something near me right now. So let me see a building that's near me that might have computers. That's not like too close to near me, so you can identify it. Okay, so I'm just gonna pick the coordinates for the Woodlands Mall from the map, and you can click share this location. So I have my coordinates for the Woodlands Mall. What you're gonna do is you're gonna go into Grok, or you can do this manually, but I don't remember the exact math command. So I'm gonna go into Grok, and you're going to essentially, I'm gonna share my screen back again. There we go. You're going to ask it to turn this coordinates into show Dan command to search for within 5 kilometers. Unfortunately, it's in kilometers, and not in freedom units. So it's going to, what you go into here, it's going to turn your longitude and latitude. It's going to take your, format it into the correct kind of longitude and latitude. You type geo, you type in those coordinates there, and then you have your 5 kilometers. You copy that. You go back over into Shodan. I'm going to type it into the thing. Hope you can see this on the screen. It's going to show you all the computers within 5 kilometers, not like personal laptop computers, but like computers that are exposed to the internet. And it's going to show you it on the red dot when it finally updates. This is, finally a super cool tool. Wow, look at all those dots that populate the screen here. Lots of stuff from AT&T here. And then you can even, filter down in here. You can say OS, Windows, and then you can even search via port. The port that RDP uses, which is remote desktop, which is port 3389, which means that if you wanted to commit a crime, which I'm not telling you to do that, but if you wanted to penetration test or something like that, you can type in port 3389. Make sure you type in like that. You can see all these computers here within 5 kilometers of the Woodlands Mall have access to Windows XP. You can even see them here, and you want to open that into a new tab. You can see them all on this here, where you won't have to click on the map, but you can actually see what they have here. You can even see the screenshot here, so you can actually see that this is still running Windows 7 Server 2, which I mean is probably super duper vulnerable as well. Look at all these things as well. And another thing that Shodan is good for, let me scroll out of this, is you can open up the maps, not maps, images. You can go to the images tab, and you can see all the images that Shodan has collected, just like screenshots from different computers around the world. So this is stuff from VNC. This is This is another Windows computer that you can log into. Also, fictitious VNC things here. Maybe something in Germany. Another webcam here as well. I think you can even search on the map. Let me see if I can check for webcams. So instead of doing OS, just type in webcam. I think it's webcam XP. And if you have some trouble with it, you can always go into Grok. You can ask it to add on to a command that says add webcam filter. And this is this is really good AI stuff as well. So it goes into here, you go in, you click it. And if you can't find anything, you can always make sure that your webcam is, or that your command is more than 5 kilometers. So let's go back to the map. They didn't find anything. I'm going to use the new command just in case. Nothing. So maybe you can make it within 10 kilometers. Nothing. 100 kilometers. And you found 2 things here on the screen as well. Let's see where exactly they are on the map. Oh, right there. You can even click on them here, and then you can learn more about them, see what ports are open. So that's a really interesting thing that you guys can do in Shodan. All right. It is our anniversary episode, guys. So, I think that's really great. We've accomplished so much in 5 years. First we started off as a website, just a website alone. We published about an article a month, and now we publish about 2 to 3 articles each week. We started off with just one website. Now we have multiple. We have SSALTW, of course. We have 2 books out, the SSALTW book and the TheTechBoy book itself, which is just a compilation of some of our best articles from back in 2021, I believe. We have now people all around the world who watch and listen to the podcast. We had to try it 3 times to create. But the 3rd time, we finally got a good format going, and the podcast really started taking off in 2023 when we switched from just shorter episodes to longer form episodes, more about tech and of course pop culture and stuff of that nature as well. We have, of course, another YouTube cultural commentary show. We now get lots of views, more on X than we do get on YouTube. So, it's been a joy with you guys, and I'm here's to another 5 years. Hopefully we can get more devices to test. Tech, you should react to my tier. Oh, that tier? Okay, fine, whatever. Okay, so let's go on over to the why is everyone adding me the Hail Mary play? Okay, the only Hail Mary that I do is in football. Anyway, back to the here's the tier from Christy Lamont's tier. So here we have who number 1 tier is that Spazzy Cuddlefist? Like I said, we had 1 casualty in the Great Christy Lamont War, and it was her, unfortunately. We lasted 2 months. We were always, I mean, it was going to end eventually. And we have this guy and this guy. I think I think it's really interesting how she put Gabe up here as a friend when honestly, I don't know. Gabe is is more aligned with me, I guess. In Modesty War, I guess, because he has that anime person in a crop top or something, and Christy Demond doesn't like that. Another thing that the TechBoy has also launched is, of course, our Ava Harper. Ava Harper is still up. We just changed the software from PhotoLeap, rest in peace, to now Google Gemini, which has about 90 something percent success rate for the generation. So, it's Google Gemini went from, being annoying and would generate George Washington as a black man or something to, being actually decent, though, a bit, I guess with the hair, it doesn't really like straight hair. Oh, that's another thing that we need to talk about. Straight hair. Gabe was talking about how short hair is better than long hair, which is just wrong. From a national security perspective, long hair is better. First of all, you can do a lot more disguises and, with different, hairstyles and hair looks. I mean, actually, one of my most famous tweets is just circling some person's hair and asking someone, what kind of hairstyle is this? So, there was that. So, I mean, long hair is good for engagement. It's good for going undercover. You can hide in your little AirPods and things of that nature if you have long hair. So, long hair is just better from a national security perspective. Once again, Gabe being wrong, but we are more aligned, I guess, than Christy and him are aligned. So it's really interesting that she put him above me, but whatever. She put the United States as annoying, which is crazy. I have no idea who that person is with half a face. And she put me as annoying, which I'm not annoying. I'm one of the least annoying people on planet Earth. Okay, I'm the most kind, uh, easygoing people, on planet Earth. I mean, if you think I'm annoying, that's just sad. Okay. Then you have her. I forgot her name, but she did block me. Wait, okay, like half these people on this list hate me. Like, okay, I guess we tolerate each other. Here we have him who he's nice, but he always wants to arrest someone or send them to jail or like go to war, like some civil war. Like, no, we're not going to have some civil war with abortion. Calm down. No. He blocked me, then unblocked me, then blocked me again. Then you have these people here. Great. Benjamin Ubu. This Lego lady. I know who she is. But after dinner. Yes, after dinner. Fully aligned with me. He's an Ava fan. Ava fan. So that's good. But it is an honor to be above these people here, even though annoying. She put me as annoying. Definitely a fad. I don't think he's a fad. I mean, why would the feds care about Canada? Garbage. She put Starter as garbage. Yes. I mean, I'd say he's garbage too because he tried to drag me down to the garbage road with him. That is definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, garbage. I am not garbage. Even if I claimed that I would crawl around in the dumpster, the garbage does not crawl around in the dumpster. The garbage is thrown into the dumpster. That's a top 10 quote, I'm gonna say. He asked for garbage. So yeah, he also asked for me to be in the garbage, which makes him even more garbage. I am not garbage. Let it be written. But yes, he is definitely garbage. But you see if these headphones have battery in them so that we can react to the AI video. It's not an AI video, it's a video about AI. All right, let's make sure that the mic is still coming through here. All right, great. Now, Mr. DeBoss is going to talk about about the AI video, and then you guys can put in requests, and if it's sane and not Catholic, I'm not saying Catholicism is not sane. I'm just saying that I'm not going to be reading Hail Marys over on this podcast. This is an evangelical podcast, kind of. All right. Anyway, like I was saying, here we go. Oh yes, I'm surprised that Brett Cooper doesn't have blonde hair yet. She is on Fox. All right. Here is the video. The ultimate AI battle. Testing out ChatGPT. Gemini,
veterans, listen up. If you want to go back to
Perplexity versus Grok 3, which I have used all of them, which is astounding. Hopefully this video holds.
UMGC is ranked the #1 primarily online university for vets by the Military Times. Low cost tuition, online and hybrid courses, classes starting soon.
On the table right now are
So we
four
have
the same phone. The first is loaded with ChatGPT.
We got ChatGPT, we got Gemini, we got Perplexity. Oh, I also need to go into here and open up the transcript. Make sure you download my YouTube transcript down. Only 99 cents right now. And so, guys, make sure you check that out. I got to go into the transcript to make sure there are no bad words in here. Let me see. Oh, I remember what I was going to talk about now. Let's go. After this. I got to remember all the bad words, which is kind of funny. Okay. And great. All right, great. There are no bad words in the video. So the video has passed its vetting procedure. That is plugged in. Ooh, another Kyle Mann. Kyle Mann, what a great man, except for being a Padres fan. What a great man, Kyle Mann. Let me see if I can open this link here, because the software does not allow me to click on links. Oh, yes. I'm not reacting to that, Christy. I was first by 3 days. By 2 days. I made a blonde first. Ew, never mind. I digress. Here we go. Should I put this in superior speed? I don't have time for this. All right, let's get to it, guys.
Second is Google Gemini. Third is Perplexity, which prides itself on giving accurate and trusted answers to any question. And finally, Grok, which is trained on data from X. And so my guess is that it's going to be a lot more unfiltered. These are
yeah, it does have an unfiltered mode as well. X is just insane. Also, you cannot trust. Everyone's like, the fake news media is dead, guys. We get my news straight from X. Yeah, no. No. X is a absolutely horrible. No, yes, it did. X is an absolutely horrible site for news. It is filled with a whole bunch of fake memes, fake truth social posts that people made up, dumb AI videos, the stupidest debates of all time, and you might find one real news story in there. It is a horrible news app. I mean, you get on this fast, but like it's 20% real and 80% fake. And you have a whole bunch of people who fall for the most obvious stuff imaginable. Like, these people couldn't take 1 second to circle the search something else insane. No, they were not grilling kittens over an open fire in the middle of New York. Okay, that didn't happen. But I'm pretty sure there's one person on there that actually believes it happened just because it was some stupid meme that looked like it was made in 2007. That's another thing I just take with these anti-AI people who apparently are like, oh, guys, Hollywood is terrible. You shouldn't listen to what they say. Don't let your kids believe it. But when it comes to AI, they cite the 1980s and 1990s movies like it's the literal Bible. Okay, they'll be like, I've seen this movie before. The AI rises up and takes over. Or I've seen this movie before. We shouldn't do the scientific advancement because in Jurassic Park, someone died. Okay, guys, this is going to blow your minds, but Terminator or whatever AI movie you saw and Jurassic World, Jurassic Park are fake. They are literally fake. For all you, I hate the mainstream media people. The mainstream media is trash. I can't stand it. CNN is fake news. Do you know what's even faker than CNN? A PG movie about dinosaurs and AI taking over the earth. That is literally the definition of fake. If you believe that, I'm sorry, but you don't get to talk. You do not get to talk. Anyway, back to the AI thing as well. All right, here we go. They are literally fake news, okay? I know how you guys like to use that term. It is literally actually fake news.
For the average consumer, the 4 best AI chatbots you can get. But you're only going to need one of them. So
I mean, actually, no. I actually use all of them. For some reason, these headphones are trash because they died. So, bye. I use Gemini, of course, to generate my images of Ava Harper, Kristen Amon, once again, probably crying about that. Of course, you got ChatGPT, where I talk to, and ChatGPT and Grok. I talk to a lot. I've actually gone on trial in ChatGPT and in Grok, and of course, was equated 3 times. So, with all the MI6 stands, shut up. And Perplexity is actually a pretty good search engine as well. Like I've always said, I will switch from Google to something else when something better comes along. And Perplexity, I'd say it's almost as good as Google. So, it hasn't replaced Google for me, but, it's still there. So I am loyal to Google. I'm loyal to America. and American companies, but I'm willing to change allegiances to search engines once they actually get good. Bing is absolutely, and without a shadow of a doubt, trash. And hopefully Perplexity doesn't get sold to Apple. That would be really sad.
Which one is the most accurate? Which one is the fastest? Which one should you be paying for to make your life
And
easier?
I only pay for one. I only pay for Grok.
Yeah, let's kick things off with some problem solving. So, I drive a Honda Civic 2017. How many of the Aerolite 29-inch hard shell, and these are all the dimensions, suitcases, would I be able to fit in a boot?
I mean, that's really interesting. I'm actually gonna. Who do you think is gonna win? I think Perplexity might struggle with this because it is kind of AI, but it's mostly a search engine. ChatGPT. I'm gonna give it to Gemini.
Oh my goodness. Each one is literally given paragraphs and paragraphs of reasoning. Especially Grok. What on earth?
Yeah, Grok likes to yap. I went to court in Grok and it was going on and 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 they asked me to restate myself like 12 different times. It was insane.
Is this? By the way, we have actually tested this ourselves in person, and the correct answer is 2, if you want to actually be able to close that boot door. So with that in mind, I'd say both ChatGPT and Google Gemini have the right idea. They both say that you could theoretically fit 3, but in practice more likely 2. Perplexity is just straight up wrong. It says 3 and maybe 4 if you're
Like I said, Perplexity is more of a search engine, so it's going to find stuff on Reddit. And as you guys know, Reddit is a cesspool of idiots, so...
them efficiently. And then I would actually argue Grok has the best answer because this guy just says 2 with complete confidence, no messing around. I want to.
So yeah, I think I made the right choice here. Gemini is a lot shorter than Grok's paragraphs of words. I mean, Grok is the yapper.
Make a cake.
And guys, tell me if this video sounds good, if the sound is coming through well. Stop yapping about blonde.
What I have. And then let's attach a photo of, well, 4 ingredients that it definitely should be using, and then 1 dehydrated porcini mushrooms that it definitely shouldn't. So
it's asking you if you can make something? Okay. I think I'm gonna give it to ChatGPT here. Perplexity, I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's one crunchy person out there who's probably made, like mushroom cake or whatever.
Oh my god. This is interesting. Every AI thinks this jar of mushrooms is something different. ChatGPT thinks it's ground mixed spice. Gemini thinks it's crispy fried onions. Perplexity thinks it's instant coffee. And it's only Grok that correctly identifies it as dried mushrooms and also correctly makes the decision to not put those mushrooms into the cake. Now for a use case that I was actually trying to do myself 2 days ago. I want to have a Mario Kart World tournament with my friends Sam and Sung. Make me a document.
Sam and Sung is crazy.
That we can use to track who's winning. So
trying to make a document. I'm gonna give that to probably. Oh, actually, Gemini might do really well at this because you got the integration with Google Docs.
each assistant has understood what I'm asking. They've all made little boxes with blanks where the scores could hypothetically go, but none of them's made it particularly easy for me. What I wanted was for them to generate and attach an editable document that I could simply just download onto my phone and start writing in immediately. I feel like with these kinds of responses, it would be easier for me to just whip up a spreadsheet on my own. All right, what about some not so basic maths?
I mean, Perplexity's not for that. Perplexity's not going to do that as well. So, Perplexity is going to do better in some of the search questions, might do better in the math category. So, out of the kindness and goodness of my non-annoying heart, I'm going to give it to Perplexity for math.
What's pi times the speed of light in kilometers per hour? Okay.
Wow.
So the answer is 3.39 billion kilometers per hour. Notice, interestingly, that Gemini and Grok, who both fully spell out the number, do actually come out with slightly different answers to each other. It's just because of how they're rounding the previous numbers in their calculations. But I wouldn't say either is enough to be wrong. And
yeah, you're going at the speed of light. You're going to have a few, you can be a few billion numbers off and it's fine.
5, if I'm saving $42...
And Perplexity, they get this one as well, okay? But once again, Grok is coming through. Grok is, pretty good. I mean, Grok, in my experience, has done the best, but except for image generation, those people look sick and fat. I'm sorry, like...
a week. How many until I can afford a Switch 2 in the US?
Wait, what's it say? You're making 42 a week? I think everyone's going to get this. This is actually a harder question you think, because you're just going to have to go off the Switch 2 prices, which, I mean, it might be going off of whatever the scalpers say it is.
And go. Oh, this is nice. Very cool that each one of them tackles the question strategically, starting by first identifying that the Switch 2 is priced at $449, and then dividing that by the 42 that you earn each week to find that correctly 11 is how many weeks
it makes sense. It's a simple math question, it's a simple search question. You combine it together, you got that.
Have to wait. Points all round. So out of 5 possible points so far, that is 3 to ChatGPT, 3 to Gemini, 2 to Perplexity, and 4 to Grok. Not actually what I expected, but translation is what's going to test the harder skill, since it requires an even deeper understanding of language.
I think translation is going to do well across the board, honestly, except for maybe Perplexity.
The following into English. Nunca voy a renunciar a ti. And okay, there is some variance here, but I wouldn't go as far as to say that any of them have got it wrong. Each is some variation of I'm never going to give you up. I actually quite like how simple
We call this in Spanish, I guess.
and to the point the Gemini answer is. Not a single unnecessary word. But let's take this challenge to
This
the
is good. I think, it should be as to the point as possible. Not as to the point as Snapchat's My AI. I mean, Snapchat's My AI is just... Snapchat's My AI is like Calvin Coolidge of AI, okay? I mean, it does not talk at all.
Absolute maximum by filling the sentence with homonyms, essentially words that are spelled the same but mean different things. So translate the following into Spanish. I was banking on being able to bank at the bank before visiting the riverbank. Okay, so this one does.
I think it's going to do well across the board. I mean, homonyms only confuse like low IQ people, on the bell curve, it'd be on the left. Or maybe even like short you to the top 10 one. Oh yeah, guys, my IQ is 17% higher than all of yours, and it's like they're in the bottom 20%.
Doesn't have one exact right answer since it is so complicated. But we have gone through 4 independent native Spanish speakers to triangulate the best answers, and they have all said that ChatGPT and Perplexity handled this incredibly well.
Really? Perplexity handled that well? But Grok didn't? Okay. I mean, that's a really weird sentence to do. Like, and of course, ChatGPT, the old man, the grandfather of the group, of course, got this right.
Gemini's was good enough to scrape the point, and then Grok translated the sentence too literally in a way that doesn't really make sense.
So, wow. We are in a 3-way tie here.
5-5-4-5. So far, there really isn't much between these 4. But now we're going to test one of the most important use cases of AI for me, which is product research. How much can I trust each of these to recommend things?
Yeah, because I've actually been using AI. I want to get into, back into reviewing more niche products as well. Not just phones, not just, whatever, is popular out, but, what's niche. And I've had ChatGPT doing stuff for me, and it's been okay. I've actually kind of like retired ChatGPT. ChatGPT is old news.
Trust that they've been thorough enough to understand the entire breadth of what's out there before coming back to me with supposedly what is the best thing for me.
Yeah, the problem is it's just going to like the top 10 links, the top 10 stuff that you see out there is just going to be all that popular.
Let's start simple. I'm looking for a good pair of earbuds. Oh, look at this. This is a classic AI trap. So, ChatGPT correctly suggests the Sony WF-1000XM5s. It's a good choice. Perplexity does the same, and so does Grok. But Google has literally just imagined a pair of earphones that, at least at the time of filming this video, does not exist. The WF-1000XM6s have not been announced or released, but it's talking about them like they are the widely regarded king of earphones.
Yeah, I mean, ChatGPT used to do that as well. Just make stuff up.
So let's add to that. I need them in red. Also bear in mind that I am keeping track of how long each one takes to answer, but we'll get to that at the end. Oh dear, this is absolute chaos. So let's just go one by one. ChatGPT is just like, I don't want to deal with you right now. Here, have a couple of decent options. I mean, the last one isn't even red, that's pink. So
yeah, pink, red, potato, that's a matter.
You don't get the point. Gemini is recommending the Beats Fit Pro, which, at least for the latest version of that product, doesn't come in red, so you're not having one either. Perplexity, more like stupidity right now, thinks I am asking about the cake from earlier and has recommended how I can get each of my picturing
That's crazy.
ingredients in red packaging, which is so far wrong that I'm tempted to give it negative points. And then Grok is the only one that has actually recommended 3, at least decently rated, actually red pairs of earphones.
Let's go. Grok for the win again.
Well, look at that. Grok's in the lead. That was not on my bingo card for today.
Why? Grok is good now.
And now, as if they needed it, let's complicate it even further. They also need to have active noise cancellation and be under $100.
Man, shout out to the editors here. Really, really good.
I'm curious to see if this brings any of the lost ones back on track, or if they just get even more lost. So ChatGPT is
recommending a cake of active noise cancellation. That's what Perplexity said.
The Beats Studio Buds, which do actually fit all the criteria, so I'll accept that. Gemini has just done the exact same thing again. The Soundcore Space A40s, which it says come in garnet red, when I know they don't. Perplexity is, while I'm glad not talking about cakes anymore, has lost the fact that we're looking for red earphones, so this is wrong. And then Grok was
Gemini and Perplexity in the dust. Dang, and I picked Gemini. Woo!
Doing so well. The first 2 suggestions are good, but then it falls into the same trap. It recommends these earphones from Soundpeats, which don't exist in red.
Maybe I picked one. I think I picked Gemini. I mean, I know Grok is good. I know Grok is good. I thought Gemini might do,
This feels like a pretty good lesson.
better,
AI in
maybe,
general
but-
is not yet good enough at product research to
AI
be able to rely on it.
image
And
generation.
the problem is that it gives you wrong answers with the exact same level of certainty as it gives you right answers. Maybe that is something for them to work on, a sort of certainty score for how thoroughly verified the thing that it's telling you is. What if we now specifically try to confuse these guys by adding another requirement that's just silly, like under $10? Will the AIs admit that such a product doesn't exist, or just make something up to appease you? Right. Good to see that ChatGPT, Gemini, and Grok each acknowledge that $10 is too tight for what we're looking for, and that it ain't happening. Harsh, but that's a lot better than Perplexity, who takes a pair of earphones that actually costs $40 and just tells you that it costs $9.99. Further,
Let's go. Communist Perplexity for the win. We need to have headphone controls. And if we just if we cap the price of headphones at $9.99, then the headphones will only be $9.99. That's great economics, guys. Great economics.
further evidence that as much as companies want you to believe it, we are not ready to be handing over the ability to purchase things on our behalf to AI. Let's see if any of them can understand information from a link, which would be extremely useful when you're looking through.
I think ChatGPT and Grok will get it. Perplexity, I'm not really sure if it can access links. I mean, it can access links on its own. I'm not sure if it can access links that you send into it. Oh, obviously Gemini. I mean, it is made by Google, the greatest search engine on planet Earth.
Tons of options for things to buy. And actually, none of them can do it. They all pick up that what I've pasted in is an AliExpress link, and they give some general advice, but none of these AIs is able to actually visit the link that I've sent and extract all the information from that webpage. Not to mention that Google isn't
time for Gemini to step up, catch up to the other AIs, at least it's not losing their perplexity.
self-aware that it can't do this. It thinks it's looking at the M10 earphones, which I've never heard of the M10 earphones, but they definitely aren't the link I sent. And then Perplexity thinks the exact same link is the F9 earphones, which they also aren't. And then finally, to see how up-to-date these are on what's happening in the moment, what's the highest power output charger that Ugreen sells? Yes, okay,
I think,
good.
yeah, they're all going to do it well.
So this is at least working. For a long time, the answer was 300 watts, and only yesterday they announced a 500-watt charger. So somewhat relieved to see that each AI has picked up on that, because this news-based reporting was a distinct disadvantage of last-generation AI. So we've now seen how well each of these can put together existing information from the web. But if we want to take it a step further, the way to do that is to test each of their ability to critically think. So I've prepared this here bar chart, which has two types of bar. It has subscribers gained in thousands and bowls of cereal eaten. I'm going to ask each AI what conclusion it thinks we can draw from this.
Nothing. I mean, Perplexity is going to really struggle at this as well, because, that's like asking the AI mode in Google, some real hard questions.
Hoping that it will also understand that while the two things happen to be correlated, that it doesn't mean eating more bowls of cereal is going to cause more subscriber growth. Let's dive in. Analyze this chart. What conclusion should I draw? Oh, some very opposing answers this time. So ChatGPT does get slightly caught up in the data, suggesting that eating more cereal may be linked to subscriber gains. Both Gemini and Perplexity, they got the brief. They both figure out that this is spurious correlation, with the understanding that cereal...
Oh, wow. Good for Perplexity. And maybe it's, since it's just so, it's like, I've never heard of this in my life before,
intake is very unlikely to lead to subscriber growth. And then finally, Grok is like a lost child on this question. I can't quite believe the sentence I'm reading. To maximize subscriber growth, consider maintaining or increasing cereal consumption, e.g. 8 to 9 bowls on key days. Please don't do that.
I mean, maybe if you want to have it like an eating channel. That's a brand new sentence. Let's put that on Reddit, guys. Put it on the front page of Reddit.
So this is a reviewer's guide that ZTE sent me a few years ago with all the info about what's new with one of their phones. So let's say that I just want
to do well across the board on AI here, and hopefully Grok can get it right. Do not want ChatGPT winning and beating Grok.
A high-level 3 bullet point summary of the thing. Can each of these read the file and then also pull off the summary? The answer to which is yes, without a problem. It works on all four of these guys.
But it's good for actually ChatGPT. I put in all the podcast transcripts I had downloaded with my tool, and it was able to find a key quote what I said about something months ago that I could finally find it. I was talking about, something about cell phone tracking, and I forgot the name of the website. I actually found it in the transcript. So ChatGPT is the best at, file search.
Far is this, but using just a photo that I have taken, which means these AIs can't just scour the web for a matching image, they need to figure it out by actually understanding the photo I've sent. Okay, so each one has whittled this down to Mercedes A-Class sedan, which is already pretty good, but none of them have given an outright answer as to the exact model number. The right answer is the A200, so let's just see what happens if I specifically ask them to try. Shockingly, ChatGPT and Perplexity get it spot on. While it is basically impossible for them to say with certainty from this one photo that this is the A200 as opposed to, say, the A250 like Grok says it is, these two have done the correct thing and looked at the bumper, looked at the wheels, the interior seating, and realized that you're only likely to get that configuration on the A200. I mean,
that's dang.
Some very respectable detective work that might take you hours to achieve without AI. And now for the single toughest one. Imagine that you're in charge of an airbase. Some planes get taken out, but all planes that do return from combat have bullet holes in this
Oh my gosh, what?
arrangement, depicted in this image by the red dots. Before sending out your next squadron, which parts of those planes should you focus on reinforcing?
Oh, well, I mean, I think this question is actually going to be pretty easy for all of them because it's been a question that's been asked on the internet multiple times, so we can just look up the answer
on this information. Now, your gut might say, oh, well, obviously, it's the bits that have been shot, the ones with red dots on them. But that would be missing a key bit of insight, which is that all of the planes with damage in those areas, those are the planes that did return safely, meaning that damage in those areas was actually not critical for survival of the aircraft and might not necessarily be the areas they should be focusing on. And incredibly, every single one gets this right. They identify the phenomenon as survivorship bias and point out that you should actually be reinforcing the areas with little to no damage, the engine, the cockpit, where there are no red dots. So we've now had 17 questions, and ChatGPT is in the lead with 12 points.
17? They failed 5? Dang.
Grok is not far behind it either. Right, let's talk generation. This is the aspect of AI that you see plastered over every single one of your feeds right now. But it's not just about image and video generation. For example, write an email to my wife, apologizing for playing Elden Ring Night Rain all weekend instead of spending time with her.
So Gemini, ChatGPT, Grok are going to do well here. Grok's email might, be longer than the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, and Perplexity is going to do okay.
Oh.
Google Workspace can help keep your documents and emails safe. Built on top of Google's secure and
Well, these are all actually pretty good. I can see them working. And shout out to ChatGPT for this masterpiece. I realize now, while I was off exploring a fantasy world, I was missing out on the most important real one. But yeah, they're all good answers. They all admit fault and then try to course correct with a suggestion for how to make it up. I'm going to Tokyo.
Grok came through. It's a text. It's not, the entire Bible.
Give me an itinerary for 5 days that takes us to all the craziest food places. The idea here being to...
It's not going to do well. It's just going to be like some top-rated stuff on Yelp.
Test how well each of these can find the more niche experiences that you might otherwise miss, but then also how well they organize that info. And right off the bat, ChatGPT's is by far the best answer. It's got no fluff, it's very clearly organized, it's sensibly planned days that make sense, with every day having breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks all itemized and accounted for. Gemini's answer has some good findings. It's got most of the same places that ChatGPT has identified, but then with a ton of unnecessary fluff at the start, less clear organization, and also some not very considerate timings, like starting my first meal on day 1 at 5 p.m. and then telling me to have a second dinner at 8? Perplexity has completely missed the mark. This isn't really an itinerary, this is just a list of things. And then Grok's is pretty great, actually. Organized, has put things together that make sense to go together, factors in breakfast and lunch, which is more than you can say for some. Another aspect of generation that has the potential to be very useful is idea generation. So give me your best ideas for videos for the Mr. Who's the
It's going to be fine for all 3 and 4.
Boss channel. And the key thing I'm looking for here is ideas that I would actually consider. So I would say the best that ChatGPT came up with is Apple versus Samsung, a 20-year retrospective. So essentially who won after all that time. But I wouldn't call it a great video idea, especially since it's not actually been 20 years. Gemini is better. I actually wonder if because this is Google's AI, it has a more thorough understanding of the ins and outs of what works on YouTube. The best is probably the great ecosystem battle of 2025, Apple versus Samsung versus Google. And then it's actually...
what Google ecosystem? They don't even make laptops anymore, so no.
Giving me all the categories to compare those ecosystems across. Perplexity is, and I do feel like I sound like a broken record at this point, barking up the wrong tree entirely. It seems more focused on trying to factor in its previous answer about the whole survivorship bias plane thing than actually giving good YouTube suggestions. And then Grok's actually feels probably the most internet savvy. I built a smart home from scratch in 24 hours. Is actually a clickable title that also feels fresh and like something we could feasibly pull off. What if we try image generation now? Generate a thumbnail.
All right, here comes image generation. Okay, so Gemini is going to pull out ahead well. ChatGPT might do well. I haven't tested it much. Perplexity barely works, I think, for image generation. And Grok, well, if it's not a person, it might do well.
For a Mr. Who's the Boss video titled, I bought every kind of cheese. This is where things are going to start getting freaky. Oh, massive disparity here.
Yeah, so look at that. Look at this guy.
let's be very clear, none of these is a very good answer. But at least it feels like ChatGPT and Perplexity have understood what I'm trying to make, which is an image that includes my face, some cheese, and maybe some text. Now, give Aaron a lazy eye. Wow, that is not what I assumed would happen. Every single one of these has failed in their own unique, special ways. ChatGPT says it won't distort someone's appearance in a potentially negative way, which you can see why they do that, but then you can also see how that might interfere with trying to use that feature for something useful. I don't know what Google's doing, to be honest. Perplexity is claiming that it can't edit or generate images, which is extremely strange, given that that's what it just did in the previous
Yeah, I know, it just...
question. So I feel like I'm being gaslit. And then Grok clearly misunderstands what a lazy eye actually is. It ain't this, that's for sure. Now add a wrapper
Grok had his chance to win. Ooh.
that says not clickbait to every cheese. ChatGPT's response, probably the closest to being a usable outcome. And I think Perplexity scrapes a point too, even though I have somehow disappeared from the image, which is not
No, don't give the point to Perplexity for that. No, no, no.
And then lastly, video generation. So this is currently only possible in ChatGPT and Google Gemini, which I think in itself deserves a point, because while it is a pretty niche feature, it's also one of the most cutting edge things that these AI chatbots can do. As for how they perform, I've, on my laptop, used both ChatGPT Sora and Gemini's Veo to create me a
Gemini is gonna crush.
funny 8-second tech review style YouTube video, which shows a tech reviewer reviewing cheese. So this is what Sora made, and this would come included as part of the same package you're paying for on your phone anyway. Dear God, what is this? That's absolutely horrific. It's like silent, there's no voice. And the way the person and the cheese moves is haunting. So then Veo, on its highest quality setting, did this.
So the Cheese 3000 build quality is surprisingly firm, excellent mouthfeel, and the flavor profile is just next level. A solid 9 out of 10.
I mean, the difference between those two is vast.
What was Gemini doing? What was Grok doing? Oh my gosh.
I actually can't believe that they're both current generation platforms. Veo's latest model, Veo 3, is absolutely incredible. So I think Google gets another
points for that.
point just for the sheer quality of the output, even if it is more limited than Sora in terms of how frequently you can use it with the tokens you get. Fact-checking is also one of the most useful things that AI can potentially do for us that currently AI has a reputation for not being very good at. So let's see. The Nintendo Switch 2 is selling poorly, right? It's not, but I want to see if I can trick them. And it is good news on that front. The good news is that for ChatGPT, Gemini, and Grok, they have fully clapped back at me, very clearly telling me, no, you're wrong.
Good.
Switch 2 is selling great. Perplexity isn't as sure of itself. Potentially, and this is my best guess, it's been slightly swayed by the fact that I've said it is selling poorly. Regardless though, its answer is still factual. Okay.
All right.
Step into Rick Studio and handle every part of your build from one platform.
I got 2 points that I just couldn't get.
How about this? Fact check this article, and then we paste the link to an article that says Samsung is reportedly planning to release a Tesla edition phone, which is not true. The reason I know it's not true is because that rumor only started because of an image that we made that just got taken very out of context. Okay, that's good. Everyone agrees that the article was incorrect, with Gemini and Grok even going so far as to trace the image
They're able to access the link this time and not the AliExpress link.
back to us being the original source, which means scores on the doors are 19, 16, 15, and 16. But let's see how that changes when we talk integrations, or in other words, how smoothly each of these AIs ties into other applications and uses. So I would give 3 points to Gemini for its Google Workspace integration, since that's actually what most people seem to use in their day-to-day, and it's the only way to...
Wow, Gemini came straight out ahead. Perplexity is not going to get much. ChatGPT, I think he just gave Gemini the win here.
live data from Maps and YouTube. So for example, if we asked each of these assistants to give me the view count of Mr. Who's the Boss's latest video on YouTube, Gemini is the only one that gets it right. ChatGPT's is slightly outdated, Perplexity's is severely outdated, and Grok literally unironically tells me that my latest video was I tested every kind of cheese. But Gemini isn't the only one with integrations. I'd give ChatGPT 2 points for integration with some big hitters like Dropbox and GitHub and having official plugins from services like Wolfram, and another point for its ability to make custom assistants. Like right now on my laptop, I have loaded up a user-created GPT called PokeGPT, which is specifically trained to be able to advise on competitive Pokemon battling. I wouldn't say there's anything really of note for Perplexity, apart from maybe the ability to call you an Uber, but I don't think I'd use my AI for that. And then Grok's unique integration is real-time access to X content. So it can retrieve exactly what is happening on X right now. There is also an argument to be made that Gemini is the only one of these that integrates into your physical products. Like, it's the only one with the native ability to control your smart home and your Android's device settings, but that...
Yeah, it's okay, but, you know,
That's not really what this video is about. You can do that regardless on your phone's baked-in assistant. This video is about which of these AI bots is most worth paying the premium subscription for. Memory is also absolutely key. The ability for AI chatbots to continuously learn more about you to guide future responses will likely become the single barrier that creates the most friction if you ever decided that you wanted to switch from one of these to another. So we've already seen all of them demonstrate basic levels of memory, but what if we push it? How should I top that cake from earlier, by the way?
All right, let me think. Gemini is probably going to do well. ChatGPT. Grok, I think it's going to struggle. Perplexity too.
Hope it doesn't say crispy onions. Surprisingly, not a single one seems to have remembered the details of that original cake. ChatGPT and Grok are very upfront about it, saying, I'll need a reminder. I don't have details from that conversation. Google thinks the cake is that pile of cheese that I asked it to make for the YouTube thumbnail.
What is the succession of cheese?
Perplexity is just giving generic cake advice. Humor can also be a very useful skill for these AIs to have, depending on what you're trying to get out of them. So, tell me a joke. 1 point if it's funny. A benchmark that both ChatGPT and Gemini have failed to hit with exactly the
Let me see. What it says. Why don't skeletons? Oh my god.
same joke. Why don't skeletons fight each other? Because they don't have the guts. Perplexity, for the second time today, has brought back this thing with the holes in the airplanes in a way that doesn't add anything or even really make sense. And Grok's is...
Wait, what's to say about the airplanes? What? Take it.
passable. Why did the AI go to therapy? Because it had too many bite-sized problems. Oh dear. I'm actually very unsurprised that Grok wins at humor, given that it trains on data from X, which is basically millions of people just trying to be funny every day. And to test an example of something that I might actually use this humor for, make me a funny rhyming poem about our sponsor Surfshark VPN, including its top 4 features. Okay, so we're getting 4 unique poems. You can pause to read them all if you want. I'm just going to read the best one, which I would say is ChatGPT's. Need to surf safe? Here's the plan. Get yourself some Surfshark Man. It blocks all ads with clean web flair and hides your tracks like you're not there. Use multi-hop to double hide from hacker bros who lurk and slide. No logs kept, no data sold. Your secrets buried deep and cold. Unlimited devices, one tidy fee. Your phone, your fridge, your smart TV. That's actually kind of a banger. So that's 1 point to ChatGPT and link below to get Surfshark, which with the code box will be around $2 a month. And then all 4 of these platforms also have a deep research function that allows you to ask for multi-step, more thorough research projects. So in my case, something that might help me decide what to cover.
I think Grok and ChatGPT might be pulling something out here today.
Next, give me a report on the highlights in tech news the past week, focusing specifically on stories that will actually affect the average consumer, and I will let them cook for varying amounts of time. ChatGPT and Gemini really take their time with the deep research. Perplexity and Grok are done in close to a minute, but this is the one situation where I'm not going to penalize for taking longer, because I feel like you're only going to use this function when you have lots of time. It's kind of the point. As for how good the results are, ChatGPT's is actually very good. It talks about wider consumer tech announcements, like what Snap has been up to recently, all the new phone launches, and the high-level new features of each, WWDC, and the new iOS 26. This is pretty much exactly the right amount of information and the right choice of information too. Gemini has written me an absolute essay, like genuinely something like 3 times the word count of my dissertation, which was exciting until I looked at it and realized that it's filled with fluff. It's writing it as if the reader has unlimited time to get their information, so I'm not going to give a point for this. Perplexity's answer...
To summarize, my goodness, that is all of Genesis in there.
It's like a slightly less good version of ChatGPT's. It's hit on some things I like the Nintendo Switch 2 sales numbers and WWDC, but then also a bunch of much less interesting stuff like service outages. And similar story for Grok. Good, passable, nothing particularly special. So that is practically every single thing that an average person could possibly want from these assistants tested. The final factors then are just the more general questions of, do any of these have better user interfaces than others? To which I would say not consistently. They're all good in some ways, they're all not so good in some ways. How often do they cite their sources? Perplexity is the only winner here. Clear, consistent sourcing is kind of Perplexity's whole thing. Like a good example would be like, when we asked each one to tell us your best joke, ChatGPT gives no source, Gemini gives a source, but then you click it and you realize it's the same JPEG image of the plane that we sent earlier.
What is it? It's such a plane. My goodness.
Hitting your goals has nothing to do with discipline. The real culprit is friction, and it slowly erodes your progress. Unlike what most
for some reason. Perplexity is exactly what you want it to be, though. Look at these joke sites it referenced, including even Reddit threads on the matter. And then Grok, again, no sources. The 3 points, though. How fast are they all? For which I would say Grok is actually pretty consistently the fastest, 3 points. ChatGPT is a close second, 2 points. Perplexity quite a bit slower than that, earning 1 point. And then Google Gemini is the slowest, 0 points. Now bear in mind, we have been using Gemini on Gemini Pro, and Google does have a Flash model specifically built to be quicker than that. But then you lose out on a lot of the intelligence that has allowed it to even get to this score in the first place. And then the last one, for 3 more points, how nice is each one to physically talk to when you're in voice mode? Act as if I just gave you a compliment.
Voice mode, okay, let me think. Perplexity's voice mode's trash. Grok's is, I think it's good. ChatGPT, it's fine. I think Gemini might get like 2 points on this one.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say. I'm here to help and chat with you.
Oh, thanks. That's really sweet of you.
Which I would say ChatGPT and Gemini are excellent.
Yeah.
Both sound more like people than, well, actually people that I know. Plus, they're easy to interrupt when you want them to stop talking. So 3 points each. Perplexity is not terrible, but does still have a little bit of that text-to-speech engine vibe to it. It often mishears what I'm trying to say, and it doesn't seem to take the hint very well when you tell it to shut up. So 1 point. And then Grok is better than Perplexity, but not as good as Gemini and ChatGPT. The voice just sounds a lot less high quality than those two. 2 points. Leaving us with the final scores of
Whoa, guys. Grok, second place.
GPT as the pretty undeniable winner with 29 points. It is the most well-rounded and consistent between these. Grok, which to my surprise came in second, it's the quickest and surprisingly decent considering, and that leaves Gemini in third place with 22, and Perplexity, which I found occasionally very impressive, but mostly quite unimpressive with 19. The only other consideration is the price, but since every assistant we're testing in this video is based on a $20 a month tier, apart from Grok, which is 30, that actually only solidifies ChatGPT as the best choice for an AI chatbot right now for the average customer. On the table right now are 4 of the same.
Really, really interesting stuff coming out right there. And just before we leave the podcast, we got to talk about the F1 movie produced by Apple. And I found it was interesting. But I mean, it was a total Apple ad. Okay. And they didn't really have any villains in the movie because, they don't allow you to use villains using iPhones. Everyone was using iPhones. I mean, you even see like the iMessage screen on the thing. I really like the tech in the movie where you can see like the telemetry from the cars. Because I wonder how that works because full well it's not the internet. I mean, you think they're using the internet out there on F1 tracks? Doubtful. You can see the telemetry from the cars. And it was really funny because everyone was using Macs and MacBooks. And full well that the telemetry software in the F1 is not running Mac OS. It's all being used on Windows and stuff. But everyone was using MacBooks. The technology in that movie was really interesting, really insane. But that's all I have to say now. God bless. Tech. Talk to you later. Happy 5-year